Okay, good morning, everybody. As we go to the chitas of today, today is Wednesday, the fourth reading of the portion of Eira. We're holding on chapter 7, verse number 8. Vayem Hashem Moshe, and God said to Moshe, say, when you Pharaoh speaks to you, Lema say, do lachem moifis, give me a miracle, give me a sign. Take your stick, and throw it before the Pharaoh. He listening and it will turn into a serpent. Now she says, Moif is a sign to make it known that the power that God sent you. The sinin turn into a sinin. A sinin says a nachash is a snake. Moshe came to Pari, Yasu came, they did. Hashem, God commanded, and Aaron threw a stick down a stick, before Pharaoh, before servants. It turned into a snake. The Pharaoh called his wise men and to his magicians. Pharaoh, the Egypt was full of magicians. And the Egyptians, magicians, did the same exact thing with their magic. Now she says, now she says it means that the meaning is the incantations. The word belateim, as similar to the rest of the scripture, it may, however, be compared to a blade, lahat, the revolving sword. Seems to be a revolving because of its magical spell. So God, this is the whole thing, that God gave magic in the world. Some places have the capacity, the capabilities, mostly impurity. Or is an illusion. Rebbe was against using the word magic. It's an illusion today for sure. They each one cast down the staff and they became serpents. Yivla mata adres matesa. But then Aaron's staff swallowed their staffs. Rashi says what happened was that Aaron's staff became, it was a snake, it became back a staff and then it swallowed them. Now that's a crazy thing. But the Pharaoh was already hardened. And he did not listen to them, like God said. God said to Moshe, the Pharaoh's heart is heavy. To send the people. Here, as he said, Ashi said before, for the first 5 plagues, not the Pharaoh's hardened his heart from God. His heart was hardened by itself. Kabed, Kavid, Ashi says, heavy, Yaka. Because the name of a thing, matter is too heavy. It's covered, because covered is covered also can be liver. Covered over here means heavy. Go to Pari in the morning. In the Yotza Maima, Pharaoh goes out to the morning to the river. It's after the Krase and go out towards him. Osfasa Yar at the edge of the bank of the river. And the mata which was turned into a snake, take in your hand. Now she says, why was he going out to the water? He would go out to the water to relieve himself, where he had defied himself, that he not to relieve himself. He'd tell everybody, look at him, I'm like a God, I don't have to go to the restroom. So he would do this privately. He would go out to the water privately, nobody knew. And they said, wow, look at this guy. This guy doesn't need to have to relieve himself. So early in the morning, he went out to the Nile and there he would perform his deeds. So suddenly, as he's in the restroom, the big Nile restroom, Moshe Rabbeinu pops up. May love and tell him, Hashem, even God, the God of the Hebrews. Shalachani Alecha, sent him to you. Sent me to you. Lamer saying, Shlach Esami, send my people. V'yavduni, so they might serve me. Midbar in the desert. You haven't heard yet. You have not yet heard it. Till now. She says until now, meaning until now, the simple meaning. The Medrash interprets it as until you hear from me the announcement of the plague of the firstborn. At Kai. Kai, you'll see the word Kai later on. Kai Amar Hashem b'chatzei salayla. So God says to him, in essence, right now, he tells him, you're not going to listen to me until you're going to hear those words. Kai Amar Hashem b'chatzei alayla. So you're not going to listen to me until I'm going to say those words, which is going to be a couple of weeks, next week, when God says the words, Kai Amar Hashem, that's going to be 10 plagues. Over here, Moshe Rabbeinu also used the word Kai. Kai Amar Hashem b'zei steida. This is what God says that you should know. Ki ani Hashem, because that I am God. I'm going to smite with my staff with my hand upon the water of the Nile. And Nepchul Adam, it's going to turn the Nile into blood. Now she says, since there was no rainfall in Egypt and the Nile ascended in the waters to the land, so the Nile was the one who gave the water to the land of Egypt. So that's why the Nile itself became a god. They used to worship the Nile because it gave them all their needs. He therefore, first thing he hit the Nile, he spoke to the Nile. And afterwards he hit them. And ultimately all the fish that is in the Nile will die. And the Nile will become putrid. And the Egyptians will be weary in their efforts to drink water from the Nile. Now she says the Egyptians will become weary trying to seek remedy for the water of the Nile so they'll be fit to drink. Nile was a very important waterway for the Egyptians, I think, till today. That the Nile gave, first of all the vegetation in all the landscapes of Egypt. They used to make canals from that Nile. And number two, the water came from that Nile. Drinking water. Take your stick and put your hand over the waters of Egypt. Under canals, under ponds, under bodies of water. Anywhere where the water comes together, but yield dam, it should all turn to blood. Not only in the Nile, it should be blood anywhere in Egypt. But even in the woods, and even in the stones. That's just first of all. Since the Nile protected Moshe Rabbeinu, number one, why did he tell him to do Aaron? Because the Nile protected Moshe when he was casted into it, when he was a 3-month-old baby. It was therefore not hit, not smitten by him. Neither the blood nor the frogs both of them were done by Aaron. That means don't bite, don't spit in the plate. That's the expression that feeds you. So here the Nile protected him. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't have, so to say, the right to hit it. And the same, these are the rivers that flow like our rivers. Like in Florida, they have many kinds of rivers, canals. These are the man-made pools and ditches. That's actually canals extending from the riverbank to the fields. When the waters of the Nile increase, the Nile rises through the canals and irrigates the fields. Is exactly what we have all over Florida. Agameim, these are waters that do not spring, that does not spring from beneath the ground and does not flow to any other place, but stands in one place. That's where you see these bodies of water all over Florida too. They're not connected to canal. They're just a gathering of water. These are also in the bathhouse and in the bathtubs in the house. Water in wooden, there was water in when they were talking about water and stone. It means that wooden vessels or stone vessels. Even in any kind of vessel where they stored the water, whether it was wooden or stone, it should turn to blood. Yasa came Moshe and did exactly what God told him. He lifted up his stick iron. Ayachas hamayim, he hit the water. Asher bayar, that was in the Nile. Le'ene pari, in front of the eyes of Pharaoh. Le'ene avodav, in front of the eyes of his servants. Vayafu kol hamayim asher bayar ladam, and all the waters turned to blood. Adog asher bayar, verse 21, and the fish that was in the Nile died. Ayiv asher yar, the Nile became putrid. L'yachli mitzrayim lishtis mayim hayar, and they couldn't drink water for the river. Ayadam, and there was blood over the entire land of Egypt. Verse 22, Vayasken Chatum Mitzrayim Midloteim, and the witchcrafters of Egypt did exactly the same thing. Ayechta Pari, and the heart of Pari became stubborn. Shama Aleim, and he didn't listen. Kashadibra Hashem. Rashi says, again, all this, with the other side, they used to have these things that they did. Uncles, our rabbis, acts of demons, acts of magic. They were very, very interesting kind of people. They had all these magicians and demons, all these things that they had. They're saying they were doing this through sorcery. You're bringing. So the Pharaoh said to them, you know what? You're bringing straw to Ephraim, a city that's full of straw. You know what? You're doing magic. We have more magic than you can imagine. So what are you adding more magic to Egypt? So you bring magic to Egypt. Egypt is full of magic. The question that's asked over here is, how did they? Dasha doesn't ask the question, but how did they turn the water into blood when everything was blood already? So we know that the Jewish water was not blood. So they had to buy water from Jews to be able first to drink. So they bought water from Jews, and these magicians they took the water they bought from the Jews and they turned it into blood. And they turned, and Pharaoh turned and went home. He said, "Have a good day." And he paid no heed. Pharaoh was just a very extremely a person that nothing affected him. When he didn't want to be affected, nothing affected him. Rashi says, "He gam l'zeis," neither to the side of the staff that turned into a serpent, nor the blood. Basically, he said, I have no interest. But vayachperu Mitzrayim, kol Mitzrayim shir sayarim, mayim lishtes. Problem was, you could turn it into blood, but what about turning the blood into water? They could not do. So the Egyptians dug around the Nile for water to drink. They were going crazy. They could not drink from the Nile. That's what the magicians should have done. They should have turned the Nile into water. Couldn't do that. Every plague was 7 days. So there were 7 days surrounded by blood. Literally 7 days were filled. Since the word Vayimal is in singular, Rashi explains the number of 7 days that the Nile did not return to its original state was filled. The plague would be effect for a quarter of a month. And for 3/4 of the month, Moshe would exhort to warn them. So this was a process. Every plague was a month, was a process of a month. The plague itself was 7 days. And three weeks of the month, Moshe Rabbeinu was trying to impress upon Pharaoh the importance of following through. And ultimately, the plague itself was a month. Moshe, God says to Moshe, come to Pharaoh, love, and tell him again, go talk to him. Negotiations. 3 weeks of negotiations, backwards and forwards between Moshe and the Pharaoh, trying to have a dialogue. Vayamar Hashem shlach asami, let my, for the pasuk it sounds like it was like 1 minute, but this was not. This was many conversations. Verse 27, because if you don't, I'm gonna hit your land, smite your land with the borders and with your borders with frogs. Ash says that you're food mine, and you are a refuser, mine. Ash is translating the word mine. You refuse. Mine refuses. Nagib b'chol gevulcha. What means to smite your borders? Nagib means to smite. Similarly, every expression like gefa, plague, also means smiting. And they are strike for nakfu. When it talks about somebody hitting somebody, it's hitting a woman that's pregnant, God forbid, and she loses her child later on. It does not mean striking death. Similarly, before your feet die, nakfu, at least your feet be dashed. So it's a concept of a pain, a suffering, not a death plague. This is a suffering. This is an inconvenience, extremely inconvenience. Verse 28, the Nile will swarm with frogs. And these frogs are going to come into your house, into your bedrooms, your beds, based on in the house of your servants, your nation, with tanorecha. It will jump even into your ovens. And it's going to be in your bowls, your kneading bowls. And Rashi says this also came for the Nile. It came for the Nile. The frogs came for the Nile. And afterwards in the house, first they'll come to you, the Pharaoh. The frogs are going to be all over your house, your palace. And then they'll go into the house of your servants. He introduced the plan first, and he was the one who said, it was his idea to sow slavery. Therefore, it's going to start with you. Verse 29, and to you and to your people, and to all your servants, these frogs will ascend. Ashi says the frogs will go into the intestines and croak. That means in you. Frogs are going to jump and going to swallow. You're going to be swallowing frogs. Verse number 8. Pick your hand and reach it over the rivers and the canals, and over the ponds. Let the frogs jump all over Egypt. Verse number 2, stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt. And all the frogs came forward. And they covered the land of Egypt. Rashi says over here, you have the word Spardeia in singular. So Rashi explains that. Literally, and the frog came up. That means it was one frog. And the Egyptians started to hit it. The Egyptians saw, wow, this guy brought out a big frog from the Nile. So they thought, let's kill the frog. So they all started getting poles and started to hit it. What happened was, it started to spit. Every time they hit the frog, like millions of frogs came out of his mouth. They became swarms of frogs. This is the Midrashic interpretation. Again, as she says the Medrash first over here. The simple meaning, it can be that the swarming of frogs is referred to as singular. You want to go to the simple, when the Torah says singular, it really means plural. The Torah uses many times singular for plural. So therefore, the second interpretation is that spider means actually plural. Verse number 3, and these magicians did exactly the same. And they just brought more frogs upon the land of Egypt. But then Pharaoh called Moses and them. He said, listen, okay, I got the message. Please pray to God. Let's get rid of these frogs. Mimeni from myself, Umayami from my people. V'ashlacha and I will send the people. Yizbechul Hashem, and they'll pray to God. They'll still they'll sacrifice to God. And Moshe said to Pharaoh, boast of my superiority over me. But when shall I pray for you? For you and your service. That will destroy all the frogs for you and for your house. But they should only remain in the Nile. She said, what does that mean? Boast of your superiority. Similar to shall the axe boast over the one who chops it. It praises itself, saying, I am greater than you. Moshe says to Pharaoh, you praise yourself by acting cleverly and asking a difficult thing and saying that I will be unable to do it. That which I will entreat for you today regarding the extermination of frogs, tell me, when do you wish them to be? When do you want to get rid of them? It's all in your hands. And you'll see when I fulfill my words for the time that I set for me, that you set for me. If we would say the Masay Atir, it would mean, when shall I pray? Now that it says Lim Masay, it thus means today I will pray for you that the frogs will be exterminated at the time that you set for me. Moshe Rabbeinu, in essence, was trying to tell the Pharaoh, the good and the bad is only in your hands. That the frogs came is because of you, and that the frogs can leave is all in your hands. You tell me what to do, and I will do what you tell me to do. So actually today, I'll do it according to what you tell me to do. Torah tells you use the word atir, I'll entreat, to entreat. I will be entreated. So the word atir means I will go to God with your wishes, and I'll entreat God to fulfill your wishes. And Rashi explains the word atir. That word that the pasuk you don't find this word that much. The word atir. He said lemacha. So the father said tomorrow. It's interesting that the father says tomorrow. Why not today? So Moshe Rabbeinu said, as you say, so you'll know there's no other Lord. Whatever you ask for the Ishta, God will do. Here you can ask for God. You could have asked today, you could ask tomorrow, you can ask 2 days. Whatever you wish, God will fulfill your wishes. And that's what happens. So pray today that they should be exterminated tomorrow. And he said, that's what exactly you see, that will exactly happen. So here you see, Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to teach the Pharaoh that prayer helps. If you pray to God, it's not like you're praying to your deities where you don't know what's going to help. You'll see that your prayers will have an effect. And that completes the Chumash. Today we have learned the first 2 plagues. Now we go to the Tanya. We're holding in chapter 16 of Tanya. After Rebbe introduced us to the Avodah, the service of the Beinoni, and the middleman, which each and every one of us needs to accomplish, to be a Beinoni, to do the service of a Beinoni, the service of a middleman. And that was the Alter Rebbe says 2 ways. Number 1, first of all, Beinoni never does an Aveda, never does a sin. Never, ever, not in thought, speech, and action, does he let his animalistic soul take the best of him. That's for sure. But the Beinoni knows that he has an animalistic soul. He has all the desires, he has all the capabilities. He can do anything because he has those desires within him. So there's 2 ways to do this. First of all, there can be a Bainani that doesn't serve God. He doesn't challenge his neshama. He does his animalistic soul. He just puts in the slave. He ignores it. He's in denial of his animal soul. And that's not service. We're talking about a person who does avodas Hashem, who does the service of God. The Alter Rebbe said the two ways. Number one is through meditating on godliness to in your mind, and to ultimately go out to war with your nature and change your nature. Do things above your nature. That's what Avodah Bein, to do things above the nature, either through knowledge of your brains or through awakening up your godly soul itself, with your heart. So you can do this in two kind of ways. And therefore the Alter Rebbe says now, this is the important principle regarding the divine service of a middleman. What's the most important thing? The essential thing is to govern, to rule nature. That is in the left part of his heart. He needs to rule that. He needs to challenge it. He needs to overcome things. He just can't live a life of indifference to even his animalistic soul. He needs to challenge it and overcome it. To the divine light that illuminates the divine soul abiding in his brain. That's his seichel. That's Torah, learning. Need to learn more Torah to challenge my animal soul, my nature, to overcome my natural. Lishtlet alalev, rule the desires of the heart. To enable him to master his desires, the mainly requires addition to the natural abilities of one's mind governing his heart, the help of the divine light. That's what we learned in chapter 12. That the Alter Rebbe says the Eibishter, God, is there to help the godly soul. Without God helping him, he wouldn't overcome his animal soul. Nature is very strong, powerful. We see that in the body. We all believe we have a soul. We all know we have a soul. But does anybody feel the soul? Because the body, the natural body, is so powerful. If you want to know what a klippah is, if you want to know what a covering is, and what sitracha is, my body. My body is so strong. The nature of my body is so powerful that I can have all the intellect. I can have all it hides the truth, which is my neshama. And I can think that I don't have a neshama, chas v'shalom. And therefore, we have to realize that we need help to overcome the nature of the body, to change one's nature. That's the most toughest thing, is the nature of our nature. We can become different intellectually. We can become different emotionally. The question is, are we going to change our natural situation? Are we going to become a different person? Are we going to become a better person? The Rambam writes, the whole Torah was given to make people better. Are we becoming better? Do we see that Torah mitzvahs makes a person better, Pashto? Simply a better person. That his nature changes. Or doesn't. Not affecting him in his nature. He's affecting him in his way he acts. It's affecting the way maybe he thinks, but does it change his actual midas? Or does he carry these midas and he doesn't, and he's the same person? I'm the same person. Am I the same person that walked into the show before I daven, after I daven? Did the davening actually change me? Ask that question. And the only way that's going to do, the only way is that it's going to change me, is if I use my brains to want to change. if I wanted the Torah should change me. A person, the master of nature, desires achieve when he meditates. Yeah, that's why you need meditation. Meditation is very important. Meditation, not to just say the words, not to just parakeet the pasuk. To meditate, think about it deeply. His mind and the greatness of the blessed, infinite God. Not that you should have an emotional attachment to God from some outside experience or some experience that's happening around you, the environment. No, it should be created through my mind. I should create through my mind the love of God. Now we know, how I know, that something's happening because of me, not because of some outer experience. The change is happening because I look at things different. My mind, I've taught my mind through Torah and through prayer. I have given my mind a opening of the mind. It's called in Chassidut Chavat Hadat. Open your mind, broaden your mind. Have a shift of thought. Be able to see things different in your mind, in my mind. To create through his understanding a spirit of knowledge and a fear of God in his mind. This knowledge and the fear will cause him to turn away from the evil condemnation of the Torah, whether it's through Torah prohibitions or rabbinical prohibitions. I feel even if it would be some minor rabbinical prohibition. The contemplation of God's greatness will bring about also a love of God, which will reveal itself the right part of his heart, seed of the godly souls, emotional faculties. Alter Rebbe here was challenging every Jew, even the knowledgeable Jews. Question he would ask, when have you thought about God? When did you sit down for a moment and think about HaKadosh Baruch Hu? When do you think about God? You might be learning and davening. Are you thinking about God? Have you thought about the aged? Or you're just doing what you're supposed to do? You have to daven, you have to do the mitzvah. Yeah. No, did the thinking about God bring you not to do the sin? Or just some outer thing, because of the environment, because you were brought up, or because you had this education. That's why you're not doing it. You're not doing it because you thought about God. Are you doing something because you thought about God? That's when something is happening within you. That's when something is real to me. Begins with a longing and desire to cleave to God. Now it's not, I want to cleave to God. I have a desire. I have an excitement because I love it, because I comprehend it. I see the beauty. Not somebody else told me it's beautiful. Not because I'm in a certain place it's beautiful. It's beautiful because in my mind it's beautiful. And the living Torah is above and beyond all this. As Alter Rebbe already pointed out, commandments cannot be performed fully, that is, with total of one's being, unless it's performed in the motive of love of God. That's the point. You could do every mitzvah and you're not there. Or better say, I'm not there. I'm not there. I'm doing it. I'm someplace else. I'm going through the motions, but I'm someplace else. You can do that in the same concept. I do somebody a favor. I'm doing the favor, but I'm someplace else. I'm not giving him the full attention. I'm not giving him myself. I'm giving him something, but not me. And that's when you're missing true Ava. Because it's missing true Ava. I really don't love you. I don't really give you. I have to give it to you. And that's what the Alter Rebbe is looking for. That's what God's looking for. He's looking, God is looking. That's what he says. God searches. We always have the expression, God searches the heart. He wants to see if you're giving it. He wants to see if I am giving it. When one observance is motivated with his love, is so motivated, his love and fear of God permeates the performance of the commandment and enhances them with power because it's me. Not that I'm doing something. I am doing it. I'm in the mitzvah. Me and the mitzvah become one. Seemingly, however, this is true only of love and fear that are openly felt in the heart. What if, despite one's effort in meditating God's greatness, he can't excite himself to the arousal of love and fear of God? What happens if I try? I meditate and I contemplate. It's not creating within me any Avos Hashem. In answer, the Alter Rebbe now goes on to say, even if the love and fear that are born in one's meditation remains hidden in one's mind and heart, in a state which the Alter Rebbe refers to as tevuna, intellectual love, they will still permeate his performance of the commandments as though these emotions were open enough. So Alter Rebbe says he knows the Beinoni. Because for the Beinoni, see, the problem with the middleman is, since he has his nefesh habahamis, he has an animalistic soul, which loves the world, loves physicality, and that means whatever that brings along, his body is so powerful. It's very hard for him to create a love of God, which is above nature, something that's out of him. Very difficult, very extremely difficult. It's like having a long distance relation. Imagine if you had a long distance relation today, it would be easier. You have FaceTime. But imagine you have a long distance relationship to something you cannot see, you cannot even hear, and you have this long distance relationship. For us to have a long distance relationship is a very difficult thing. It's not an easy thing. We need to see the person. We need to feel the person. We need to have this. We need to have visual. We're very visual. We're very visual, very touchy. Senses are very important to us, right? The physical senses. And now God says, I want you to have the senses and the connection to me, even though that I'm above the physical. It's a very hard thing for a Beinoni to do, because it's a very hard thing for a Beinoni to go above himself, because he's very connected to himself. His nefesh, that he has an animalistic soul, means that he's very connected to himself. It's hard to him, it's hard for me to go above myself. I said before, the proof is that I can be a wonderful, godly person, but do I feel my neshama? Do I actually feel? That's when some people tell me that they had a godly experience, or they felt their neshama. I feel, wow, amazing. I wish I could feel my neshama. I wish I also had that experience. But seemingly, I don't have such experiences. And I do have excitement in Yiddishkeit, and I do love what I'm doing. But I wish I could have galus. I wish I could have the feeling of my neshama. But the proof is that my animalistic soul is very strong in me, and what I feel is what I touch, and I have a greater affinity to that selflessness. So therefore, the Alter Rebbe is very practical. He says, I understand that a Beinoni, even a middleman that does everything right, he might not have true Avos Hashem. He might not be able to awaken up his neshama to have true love of the Eibishter that awakens up his godly soul. So he can have it in his mind. He can, and most of us have it in our mind. We can visualize it in our mind, so to say. This could be maybe a fantasy a little bit in our mind, that we have this relationship with God, and we're doing good, and this is godly, and this is wonderful. And this is unbelievable. It makes me happy. That's why I don't blame anybody that doesn't have this feeling. This to have a feeling of excitement of godliness, you needs to be trained. You need to train. This is in your mind. This is in the Shema Yisrael, Hero Israel. It's not an easy thing. That's why most of us, we've been brought up with it. You have to almost like be brought up with Chanech Lanar. I'll be dark in the Mishnah. Even the Mishnah says, teach a child. Don't wait till he's 13 to start educating him in Judaism. That'll become very difficult. Try to teach a child when he's young. Because his religious and his godly life will be through his seichel. A lot through his seichel. And Mitchell one day will have Mashiach and we'll have the revelation in a reality. But right now it's through the seichel, it's through our seichel, through our mind. And that's what Alter Rebbe says, your nefesh of the kiss, your godly soul is in your mind. So therefore now the Alter Rebbe turns to a Beini, which is all of us, and says, I know that you're going to have more a mind relationship with God, more than a heart relationship, even though the Torah wants, I know it's not going to be easy, that it's not going to be that easy, that concept, to have b'chol vavcha, shnei yitzarecha, as I said before, with all your heart, with both your inclinations, with your godly inclination, analytically, you should have a love of God. Awaken up this love of God is not going to be so easy. It's going to be more easier in your mind. So you might say, what is the accomplishment? If it's in the mind, and it's ultimately not in my heart, in a very real way, what is the accomplishment? Alter Rebbe says, don't worry. I think it's a great accomplishment. Furthermore, one must know an additional important principle for a Beini in the service of God. Even if one's intellect and understanding are incapable to reveal the love of God in his heart. He has it in his mind. He doesn't per se have it in his heart, but he doesn't have the great knowledge to turn on that light bulb, to turn on that love. Because the Alter Rebbe says, I'm looking for real love. I'm looking for a fire. I'm looking for a love that burns like a person who has an addiction. I would only give that analogy, but a fatal attraction. That's what we're looking for. A furious flame with a desire that's longing and passion, manifest felt in the heart to cleave to God. Instead, the love is hidden in his mind. And in the recess of his heart. At this point, Alter Rebbe inserts a note stating that one's ability to reveal the love in his heart does not indicate a fault in his meditation. The cause may well be inherited in a spiritual root of his soul. Don't blame yourself. But my soul is not capable of doing that. Alter Rebbe says that's why. So look what he says. The reason for this inhibition is that his person's intellect and nefesh, ruach, and neshama derive from the so-called Ibur conception and the concealment within the supernal understanding, and not from the stage of Leda and revelation, as known to the students of Kabbalah. Very deep concept. He's going to give a little bit of interpretation to this. Briefly, this means in the human emotions born of intellect, meaning love of God is born through meditation of God's greatness. There are two states. The emotion has already been born and revealed. And number two, an early stage where the emotion is still part of the intellect. In this latter state, the emotion consists merely of an intellect inclination towards the object of one's understanding. It's not yet in his heart. It's in his mind. These two stages are similarly found in divine attributes, which are the human into which the human emotions are an analogy. The divine attribute of midas of kindness and severity. Prior to their existence in a revealed state, are concealed within the compass of spiritual intellect, Bina, which is their source. What is the source of Ava and Yira? What is the source of Chesed and Gevurah? Is your understanding, is your Bina, is my Bina. The soul, in turn, stems from divine attribute and hence reflects this characteristic. Thus, those souls which arrive from their attributes, as they are in the revealed state, possess the quality of revelation. Meaning they are capable to bring their love of God into a revealed state. The question is, where's my level of my soul? Is my level of my soul in the state of birth? Or maybe my level of the soul is in the state of Ibur, means conception. My soul's level is in a conception state. It's never been revealed. If my soul is not in a revealed state, it will never be revealed within me if it's not itself in a revealed state. Meaning that they are capable of bringing the love to God into a revealed state, where the soul derived from the concealed state of the attribute of the attributes lack this capacity, and their emotions remain concealed within their intellect. So therefore, could be a person will never be able to have Avas Hashem Yishem truly in the love of their heart. It will always be in a state in their mind. Alter Rebbe now goes on to describe a love of God as is concealed within one's intellect. And Shalev Maven Beruach Chachma Binos. This means the heart comprehends with the spirit of wisdom and understanding in the brain. The heart doesn't comprehend by itself, it's all dictated by the brain. Meaning, instead of being excited with the love of God as it ought to be, the heart merely experiences an understanding of it. The heart is getting like a reflect of it. It doesn't really feel it. It was told about it. It's getting an offshoot of it. Dula say the greatest of the blessed infinite God, from who else is not. Because in essence, when the heart feels it, like a physical thing, when I feel the pleasure. Here I know the pleasure. I know it in my brain. And so the feeling is at the level of knowledge. It's not at the level of actual touching the concept. For this reason, this fitting and due to him, due unto him, blessed be, that the soul of every living thing should pine for him, to cleave to him and to become absorbed in his life. So really, in essence, my neshama wants to have this yearning. In truth, is my love of God is complete. It's not in a revealed way. That's the problem, because it's not a revealed way in my being. His life like fist for his own soul and within him to languish for him, with a fervent desire to leave the sheep, the body, which surrounds and conceals the soul like a chef, like a sheep, in order to cleave. That's what the neshama really wants to do. So intensely is his thought. His thought continues. Should his nefesh and ruach hashdam long for God, that only against their will do they dwell in the body. They are bound to it like a desert, like a monastery. That's a wife. Widows, like a living widow, are bound to their husbands and are forbidden to marry as long as the husbands who left them are still alive. They're agunas. My son feels like an aguna. He feels like he's yearning for a husband, which he cannot have. Less machshava tfisa ben. Less machshava delan tfisa because in the depressed state, the thought cannot grasp God at all. Him kasha tfisa v'zazo teira mitzvahs. Only when it grasps the Torah and its mitzvahs by studying Torah and observing its commandments, one grasps the will and the wisdom, which is one with God. As illustrated previously by the example of one who embraces the king. So although the king is dressed in many robes, this does not detract from the royal embrace. Similarly, although the Torah's commandments are clothed in the material matters, yet since they express God's will and wisdom, when one grasps them, it as though he grasps God himself. All above, though, passes through his mind and heart, leads him to resolve. It's therefore fitting and proper for them, the nefesh, ruach, and neshama, to embrace God with all his heart and all his mind. This means through fulfillment of the 613 commandments in act, speech, and thought. The thought being the comprehension of the knowledge of Torah, as explained above in the previous chapters. And through the Torah commandments, one grasps God himself, so to speak. Thus we see that what motivates this person's actual observance of the commandments is meditation on God's greatness. This brings about the realization that one ought to strive to bind himself to God, a bond which can be achieved through the commandment, So that intellect has some value. Consequently, when the baby ponders the subject in the recesses of his heart and minds, understanding, and his mouth and hearts are in accord, meaning what in his heart feels, finds full expression in his speech. The Mekayim came with he fulfills what is in his mouth. The way he resolved in his mind and his heart's understanding. Namely, to direct his desire to God's Torah, meditating on it in day and night in the oral study of Torah. And when his hands and his other bodily organs to carry out the commandments, as was resolved in his mind, his heart's understanding. Then he implements his resolution, this tenuva, intellectual emotion, which cannot properly be called love or fear, but tenuva, literally understanding, is closed in the act and speech and thoughts of the Torah, its commandments, providing them with intellectual power, vitality, and wings, which will make them soar on high. As written in Torah, Torah without love and fear does not soar aloft. So by the Beinoni, when the Beinoni awakens, has some understanding, and that he has even an understanding which creates a love of God and fear of God in his mind, That is by him love and fear. I'ilu osak ahem b'lechilo v'lechimu avashem esgalus libe. The love and fear refer to tevuna. Although not heartfelt emotions, nevertheless serve as wings for one's Torah mitzvahs, in the same way as if he practiced them with real fear and love as revealed in us. In which case he will have performed them with desire, fever, and passion that are felt in his heart, and his soul thirsting for God, due to the flaming love of God in his heart, as explained above. And the revealed love of God elevates one's state of mitzvahs by lending warmth and vitality to one's. So the Alter Rebbe says, nevertheless, he shouldn't feel bad. That's the love that he can attain. However, the statement that tenuva, love, who possesses its power, requires further elucidation. When does tenuva, love, add to the quality of one's observance that would enable it to elevate his actions? Alter Rebbe goes on to explain. Since the tenuva, his understanding, brings about, and in the recess of his heart, that leads to engage in Torah mitzvahs, as explained above, since this what brings him to become a better person, and if it wasn't for this tenuva, this understanding, he would never occupy himself with them at all. But he only live a life, a physical life. Even if he's an ordinary student, he loves to learn in his nature. What became? A person naturally loves his body more. So if this brings him to love God a little bit more over his body, that's an unbelievable accomplishment to obeying to a middle person. What is then that diverts one's natural inclination to engage in his bodily wants, and that enables his diligence to overcome his physical self-love, the love of God. In this case, the hidden tenuva love. For this reason, the tenuva, provides his Torah and mitzvahs with rings, enabling them to rise upwards as though motivated by the revealed conscious love of God. And that's what the Alter Rebbe says, gives us unbelievable, validates each and every one of us, that even though we don't have a perfect Ahavas Hashem with our heart, but even because we don't have that capability, we have the Ahavas Hashem hidden within our heart, and we have the intellectual love revealed within our mind. That Ahavas Hashem, since it brings us to do more, to overcome our own nature's small things, that gives this avodah true wings and true purpose, and that is my true reality. Very long today, Chitas, Tanya. Today is the 25th day, which is the first part of chapter 119 in your Tillim. If you say half of chapter 119 from the letter Aleph to the letter Mem, you do the Chitas. Wish you all a good day. Mit Shem. We'll see you all tomorrow as we continue the Chitas.